two movies that were inspired by the 2014 survival horror game Five Nights at Freddy's. We have Willy's Wonderland versus Five Nights at Freddy's. Which of these two is the better film? Now, starting off with Willy's Wonderland. This is a 2021 horror comedy film that stars Nicolas Cage and Emily Tosta. It was directed by Kevin Lewis and its budget was $5 million but only received around $450,000 in box office numbers. An interesting fact about this film is that it was scheduled to be released on October 30th, 2020, but of course COVID caused it to be postponed to 2021. Now in the other corner, Five Nights at Freddy's is a 2023 supernatural horror film that was directed by Emma Tammy and it stars Josh Hutcherson and Elizabeth Lail. The budget for this film was $20 million and it made $297 million in box office numbers. And of course we have Five Nights at Freddy's 2 coming out or scheduled to come out next year in 2025. I started this face off with watching Willy's Wonderlands first. I mean, I was in this Nicolas Cage marathon, right? As you guys know, I watched Vampire's Kiss, I watched Longlegs, and I was like, let's watch another Nicolas Cage film, and we got Willy's Wonderland. Read the plot of this story, and I was like, that sounds like Five Nights at Freddy's. So I decided to watch both and compare them. Now, speaking of Nicolas Cage, let's start with Nicolas Cage's role in this film. This role that he plays, strangest Nicolas Cage I've seen yet, right? I thought Longlegs was bad, or strange, I should say. I thought Vampire's Kiss was kind of over the top, but this one here, very strange role. We don't get his actual name throughout the entire film. The characters just refer him as the janitor, right? They refer him as the janitor. We don't know where he came from. We don't know where he's going. And most importantly, and this is what kind of really got to me, right? Was the fact that he doesn't say a single word throughout the film. So like I said, this is the strangest role he's played yet that I've seen him in, and I didn't like it all that much. Now we have Emily Tosta who plays Liv. The only other movie slash show, I guess you could call it a show, that I've seen her in was The Mayans, right? The motorcycle club, the show with the motorcycle club. And she basically plays the same, or she acts the same in that show as she does in this film. You know, she plays this serious, attitude, a lot of sassiness, a lot of sarcasm. And I thought, she played the same, she acted the same as she did in the show. But I thought she did a good job in the film. Now let's jump straight into the animatronics. I felt like the animatronics in the film looked goofy. I felt like they didn't pose any real threat. It really just looked like a man in a suit, really. Each and every single one of these animatronic characters in this film, there's 8. It just looked like a person in a suit. They weren't scary. They were goofy looking. I didn't think they were all that good. Now, my biggest problem with this film is that the janitor easily, and I mean easily, kills and destroys each of these animatronic characters brutally. I would even say he brutally kills these animatronic characters. And what I didn't like about this film is that it felt like he could have just ended or killed all 8 at once if he really wanted to, but instead he focuses on cleaning the family fun center. He could have easily just ended it there. Everything could have just been ended. Like, for example, you got Ozzy the ostrich, who he kills first, right? And he just turns around, sees him, and the bird pecks him, gets him a little scratch on the side of the cheek there, and he begins to fight it, begins to beat him up, or the animatronic character up. He beats it to death. Not only that, he rips out his spine or his neck or whatever it was, easily kills him. So I feel like from that point on, I was like, okay, maybe that was like the easiest animatronic character that out of the 8, maybe. But then he kills every single one of them in that fashion. And I'm just like, he could have just easily killed them all from the beginning and this wouldn't be a thing. Now, memorable scenes, right? We have, of course, all 8 deaths of the animatronic characters. Those were real memorable scenes. My favorite was the way he killed the gorilla, right? He fights him in the bathroom. At the very end, he makes the gorilla bite the urinal and he stomps his head against the urinal. And I'm just like, oh my goodness. Like, I think the animatronic characters should be scared of him at this point. He is the evil one. And of course, we got the scene where the janitor is dancing while playing that, I think it's called the ping pong or the pong or the machine that he plays. He's dancing while Emily is fighting the fairy, or I think it's called the siren. I call it a fairy. It looks like a fairy to me, so I'm going to call it a fairy. He's busy dancing away. Personally, I feel like he was getting turned on by the game in a weird way. It was just a very strange scene. Of course, you have the sex scene in this film. The two of them, they go back in the, I guess they call it the fun room or something like that. They go back there and they just decide to have sex. And it's like, is this really the time to do that? But not only that, you get the scene is like a cool minute of just them having sex, and it just doesn't really add anything. It's just kind of unnecessary. And I don't know if I said this before, but honestly, I don't like sex scenes in a movie. I feel like they don't really add much. I mean, unless it's like a romantic film. But even then, it's kind of like, okay, I mean, at least make it short. But in this film, it's a cool minute. Of course, both of them die from the alligator, and that was the end of them. Also, I don't know why the janitor has to drink these sodas, right? In the beginning of the film, you see that he takes out a pack of sodas from his trunk, and I didn't really get the importance of these sodas. And he has an alarm clock or alarm to take each soda, right? He has certain periods or times that he has to drink the soda. For whatever reason, we don't get why he has to drink the soda. It's just part of his character, I guess. And that's something else I didn't really like about this. You don't really get much explanation about, the janitor. And lastly, I just felt like it was a weak plot, to be quite honest. I mean, we learned that they made a deal with these animatronic characters instead of burning the place down. I mean, I know that it's a small town. You don't have much reinforcements, but come on. You're telling me they couldn't take care of that? They would rather make a deal with a demonic animatronic character. So yeah, Willy's Wonderland, I felt like it was a bad film. Now on the other side, you have Five Nights at Freddy's. And right off the bat, the animatronic characters in this film were way better, right? The editing, the effects for these animatronic characters were way better. I felt like they really did pose a threat. They were scary, not necessarily scary looking, but if I was in their situation, I would have trouble fighting those things because of like their mechanical characteristics and capabilities, right? I feel like they could easily just grab me and tear my head off. I will say this film, of course, is based directly off of the film, so it was much easier for them to make the animatronic characters because all they had to do was copy the game. It really came down to the editing and the effects of it, right? But overall, I like these animatronic characters more than I like the ones from Willy's Wonderland. I feel like this film here had a stronger plot than Willy's Wonderland. For example, you get the story of Mike and why he is the way he is, his past, how he lost his brother, how he lost his job, and how he's just trying to get a job to support his sister. And of course, you have Vanessa, the sheriff or the police officer. The entire time you kind of feel like she's there for a reason. You could kind of figure that she's kind of a part of this. She's connected to it in some sort of way is what I'm trying to say. But you get her story as well, why she did what she did and why she was trying to push Mike away. So again, I feel like this movie had a stronger plot. And not just them, you have the animatronic animals or characters. They had a story to them as well, right? Yes, you have a story to Willy's Wonderland, but the animatronic characters in Five Nights at Freddy's, it was a little bit more complex because they weren't really evil, right? They were just the souls of little kids, they were stuck in these animatronic characters. Whereas Willy's Wonderland, it was just, satanic, this serial killer and his cannibalistic friends. Why they're cannibals, I don't know. But cannibalistic friends, they possess the animatronic characters. It's kind of like, I think I've seen this before. Whereas Five Nights at Freddy's, there's a little bit more complexity in it. In terms of memorable scenes, my favorite scene from this film is when the group of guys were hired to go and destroy the pizzeria while Mike was gone to get him fired, right? And so they go inside, and of course they get confronted by these animatronic characters. You see how each and every single one of them get killed, right? And again, I feel like these animatronic characters are much scarier, more dangerous. They pose a bigger threat than the ones in Willy's Wonderland. You got the little cupcake who, you would think that you can just destroy it, but he obviously is much stronger than you think. And finally, we have Five Nights at Freddy's #2 coming out next year. What's going to happen? I'm very curious because I felt like everything was resolved in this film. So I don't know what angle they're going to try to come in at for the second film. But all that being said, I thought that this film, Five Nights at Freddy's, was a good film. So that is it. As you can see, Five Nights at Freddy's takes the prize, is the winner of this face-off. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me? Or do you guys think that Willy's Wonderland should take the prize? Leave it down in the comments. But that is it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time I finish a movie or finish a book.